we jump onto the rift for Rascal Jester V3 Esports, our final game of the day, our final game of the second round robin. Rascal Jester have been looking pretty good against the teams below them. V3 have not looked good against the teams above them, and unfortunately for them, that is everyone in the goddamn league.
That is all of their opponents at all times since this roster's inception. It has been a really rough time, and as those losses mount up, it's a test of V3's resilience to even show up to the competitive games. I respect their ability to keep going and keep trying their hardest.
Yeah. As maybe today, the longest loss streak in professional League of Legends history is going to end. It may start with this hook from Hetel, but the grand entrance of Secret means that Rascal Jester actually come out winning on this trade. And we were talking a little bit sort of off-air, Temporal, about the Sivir into Zeri matchup. You're pretty happy with seeing Sol on the Sivir here.
Yeah, forget what you see on Twitter from certain coaches. I think the Sivir has a lot of agency with her team to punish the Zeri. You can think, Sivir doesn't beat Zeri on her own. It's like, oh, great. Like, do you think anything beats Zeri on her own? She's ridiculously broken. And like the jinx of Spring and sort of evergreen AD carries of the past, it's not about killing the pick 1v1. It's about denying the agency to do what they would like.
Oh, that's a lot of damage onto both supports now. A Secret is going to be forced to flash away. There's a win for in the bot side for V3.
That is even summoners. 2 combat summoners gone from V3 and all of Secret's gone. Sol might be able to do some classic Season 3 heal bait here if the 2v2 is to be won. What I want to see from the Sivir now is reversing this push, getting that Zeri all the way back, and making Nautilus choose between the minion wave and attacking the Rakan. Else, this is going to get quite easy for V3 the next few minutes.
So we've looked a little bit at this bot lane matchup. I kind of want to flip up to top lane because Camille Shyvana isn't a lane that we see a lot. Temporal, I know, does have the lion's share of the priority in these early stages, but I imagine once Washidai gets that level 6, gets access to that dragon form, then the Shyvana's going to feel a little bit happier.
In a direct smash together 1v1, the problem with Camille is that she's always able to just hold onto that hook shot and have an extra flash over you, so something like an Ezreal in the bottom lane, where you can just say no every now and again. And for Shyvana to actually start winning that 1v1, has to commit the ultimate big long cooldown, have to stack it up manually on the wave again. That's how Shyvana's resources work. You have to auto-attack, use your abilities, and it increases your rage. If Ino is completely happy with this matchup, he should be able to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge away.
Oh, sorry, Temporal. I saw Unicorn walk up to that Dragon Pit wall, and I was just like, "Are you gonna flash that? Are you gonna flash that? Is that just the meta on Treadonus? Just as soon as you see the back of a Dragon Pit, you're like, "Yep, F key."
You got Hex Flash for that, buddy? You gotta weigh in.
Maybe not that time round, as Hachimetra is going to get a small invade down onto this Trundle. Obviously, a champion that does glow a little bit slower, and spotting them out. I know there with this ward on the Crocs as well. So knowing where the Trundle is, knowing where Unica is, means that you can't quite have that same level of early game impact.
I have so many feelings in the last 10 seconds. I'm so happy that V3 recognized the potential for an invade and that top quadrant was valuable with the camps coming up. Unfortunately, Hatch had already invaded and left. A little bit off the clock. And also we're seeing Hachimetra on non-standard junglers. It's my favorite time to see players like Cashin, like Hachimetra, middle of the pack for results, but strong performing LJL junglers, innovating new things, and trying out some different stuff that you won't see in every draft in every region.
Hetel with a hook onto Secret there, but a level down actually on the Nautilus, so the 2v2 goes heavily in favor of Rascal Jester. Hetel forced to flash away. The Boomerang Blade secures first blood for Sol.
That was the R5 counter pick there, shredded and torn apart by the superior 2v2. Sol and Secret perform. They're using the Sivir as it should be used, attacking directly in the 2v2. And despite Hetel choosing that fight, starting with the Dredge line, Rascal Jesters turn it around and flip it on its head. We'll see here as Hetel starts with the Dredge line onto Secret, just trying to find something, trying to find a better position. Sol moves forwards, maintains that parallel level, and with that, the 2v2 are able to focus down Hetel first before Dresco does meaningful damage. They will win out in this bottom lane.
And the thing is, it was V3 initiating that play, so You can't even say, oh no, I just got a little bit caught. Like, you opted in for that and you still lose on the back half, disrespecting the amount of damage and the amount of efficiency and efficacy that this Civic does have a little bit more in these early stages, even when Sol was sat on that cull. So the scaling potential that can come through from this marksman is even more accentuated. V3 starting up the Infernal Drake. We've not seen a lot of priority on the early game Dragons, but when you've got a Shyvana, there's a little bit more reason to take these down.
Absolutely. And then it is pre 7 minutes. It is pre rotation to Herald. So there will be no punishment for V3's tempo being spent here at the Dragon. They will return to their lanes and have time to recall if they wish, change their assignments for topside. There's Rascal Jesters fumbling their tempo just a little bit as they are not able to respond and they're not able to show up.
Yeah, it does mean that Ino had a little bit of free time in the top lane, so has built a reasonable CS lead for himself. And that's what you want to see on the Camille. Is going to be an incredible scaling threat. And we're seeing this again, constantly going into V3's jungle, trying to spot out where Unica is.
Unica just hovering here at the side. That control ward has got Hatchemetra feeling embodied, but will spot Unica on the Crystal Spire and will not waste his time any longer at this red buff. He knows that the Ari is coming back from base. If he is found, it will be numbers disadvantaged.
And as strong as those Spires are, maybe not going to save you in a 1v3 situation. Although maybe they do. They do give an absolutely ridiculous amount of sets as Hattel, forced to Hex Flash away in the bot side, is going to be able to root up Secret under the tower, who takes a couple of shots for his trouble. But the Nautilus, not looking good.
No. That is your R5 pick. That was your answer here in the 2v2. And if your answer can't play the first 5 minutes of the lane and doesn't add meaningfully later on, we've got some issues for V3.
Just able to trade back relatively effectively there. As once again, Temple, we had some very slow-paced games. It may increase in pace here as Dresscode with that level 6 is able to go further forward onto Sol, but the ricochet, the boomerang play, the damage is so much, and now with the on the hunt available, could look to go forward.
Oh, so close.
Dresscode lives by the skin of his teeth.
Absolutely on the edge. The stolen shield from Secret, pretty much the only thing keeping this area alive in the extended 2v2. They find the pick.
Oh, they're going for the Ultra Shock laser,
Got
but
him.
bouncing the damage. It goes on to Dresco Patel. Oh no! Gets smited down, and Dresco with no summoners has nowhere to go. Easiest double kill of Hatchemet's life.
He just cruises on in there. Like, Hazel didn't even see what hit him from the bush. Just a casual smite. The Nautilus disappears from your screen like a buff secured. And oh man, V3, I like that they're pushing it right to the edge. I like that they are not playing safe. Hatch is going to walk out of here.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not, Ted Pearl. Over-aggression trying to secure that buff and pays for it with his life.
I mistimed the minion wave out of bottom lane. It looks like Hatchemacha did as well. He thought that was his safe escape route as the Dragon's Rage comes forward.
Yeah, but Washidai not willing to dive underneath that tower onto Ino. This is the power that Shyvana has in the 1v1. Let's have another look at that play in the bot lane.
All right, let's think about bot, not that Shyvana just missed a Dragon's Breath to auto-attack. This 2v2 is pretty close. Level advantage here for Rascal Jesters. Despite dress code 6, he does not deal meaningful enough damage for it to be the difference. Here comes forward, gets Secret all the way out. Nearly falls. The heal is so delayed, and they have to use it while the Ignite is on. Sol dings the level 6. Doesn't quite match dress code. The Boomerang does come back, but the flash away sets up access to escape, but they just keep coming forwards. It's so greedy here. I really thought this would bounce twice and the dress code would fall. Hatchemacha cleans up, shall we say. That Scorpion just getting a weekend job as a janitor.
And once again, that was off the back of Hattel going forward with a dredge line. Like, he's not been judging when he can win these fights or not. As this one looks a little bit more achievable. Flash forward onto Sol, who is going to pop that shield for a little bit more healing. But once again, Hattel is going to find himself taken out as Rascal Jester are responding to the play beautifully. You kill the AD carry, but you pay a hefty price as Dresco fails the dash over the wall and falls down to recap.
We were excited to see recaps as a performance in this game. And early on, he gets a gold advantage over opponent by walking into the bottom lane and exploiting V3's need to push their Zeri and Nautilus combination far in the 2v2. I don't know why they feel this need, World Cup, but it's happening right now on our screens. And V3,
Hatch.
Oh, he's got him.
Yeah, there's maybe kill potential here, honestly, onto the Ari. So one of the things about Skarner is that it doesn't do a lot of damage. But if he can drag you into range of a tower, that's a lot of damage.
That is a lot of damage. We'll see the replay. This is the expanded 2v2. We'll come back to that Skarner damage point because I have an interesting anecdote.
Okay.
V3, they assemble 3 members, and they do manage to bait out Sol's shield early on. Managed to pop that with the Zeri ultimate, so it does get CC'd by Hatel and just cannot quite respond that kill. We're going back to live, Middlecop.
Yeah, and Hatel is being called out again. That's a nice depth charge with a 3-person knockup, but the Nautilus is still going to be falling down. There's Rascal Jester, who have the man advantage at the fight. Unica going to be forced to run away as Yuja here to back up his jungler, but may not be there for much longer. A Secret finding another dash forward. Yuja still has the flash available and is able to chunk out a fair few members of Rascal Jester. But again, it's V3 being forced away from the play and Rascal Jester taking it.
Rascal Jesters just continue to arrive. They might not be the first on the play, but they always make sure it goes their way. They have numbers advantage over time, if not in the initial. With that, they'll be able to take out Unica at the Dragon, as the Skarner was just able to pull him all the way back in. Recap is still holding his ultimate and flash here, and is maintaining their advantage in mid lane. Will do a lot of damage. Sol, not super concerned, and I really ask questions why it was an R5 Nautilus. We're going to see that dredge line and that depth charge spell shielded so frequently.
V3 though, not willing to go down without a fight, are going to be pushing forward onto this Drake, and Rascal Jester actually not quite in position to respond. Sol's going to throw out a boomerang blade, but Unica secures the smite, and hey, 2 dragons in favor of V3. That's something to feel good about.
It's all right. The Infernal's quite impactful. I'd almost be happy to give over the Cloud if it wasn't severe AD carry, who directly benefits from the extra move speed. We'll see the Soul come down its mountain. There is potential for Rascal Jesters to swing back in and get multiple mountains in a row, which is quite nice. And it delays Elder. When you have a decent advantage like this in a game, and you don't need your opponents to walk into you to expend it, you've got plenty of side lane options here, and the Sivir really versatile in that mid game about what she can do, where she can go. You don't necessarily want Elder to ever spawn middle cut. I don't want to see that thing for Rascal Jesters here. It would really be a chance for V3 to come back in. Likewise, if they manage multiple mountains onto the Shyvana, we're going to see some things.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult to kill Washidai if it wasn't already. One of the 2 members of V3 that has avoided returning back to the fountain with a grey screen, but as it stands, it's Soul and Secret are going to be taking down this bottom tower. 3:14 minutes, so getting that extra bonus gold from the final plate falling off, and this Sivir is well and truly accelerated to a point where V3 may struggle to deal with her for the rest of this game. Rascal Jester now rotating over towards this mid lane, summoning the Herald, may look for a dive.
All right, they're definitely going to collect some money right now. If they're not diving, I'd expect Secret to have backed off and not got this place. Oh, there it is.
Hatchamacha gets the pull back onto that jungler. Nowhere to go for Unica except into the death chamber. Getting the charge onto the mid lane tower, as well as Hatel takes so much of his HP in trade for trying to get a hook onto Soul, and Rascal Jester are going to be able to take this tower.
That was the flash, and we'll see it repeated again. Hatchamacha, no quarter given. The flash impale absolutely blows open V3's tower defense, and with no Trundle Pillar, you're not able to look for any cheeky plays off the back of it. Rascal Jesters continue to push forwards, and I would like to talk about Skarner damage.
Would you? Okay, let's go for it.
I think the Skarner dealt a reasonable amount of damage until all of these Sunfire cape items. So that is your Frozen Fist, your... Oh god, it's Iceborne Gauntlet? Is it Iceborne Gauntlet?
No, it's Frostfire Gauntlet.
Frostfire Gauntlet.
Sunfire Aegis. And then
Sunfire Aegis.
Turbo
and then
Chem Tank.
I'm familiar with the Turbo Chem Tank. It's the only good one in the jungle. And you gotta go fast, Milka. You gotta go fast. Way back when, I don't really make friends in solo queue. I made friends with someone who played jungle. Well, I played AD carry. Completely, just match made. The absolute madman built Essence Reaver, then a Ravenous Hydra.
Oh, Lord.
And then, I can't even remember the bigger item, as we're going to see Hatchamacha just drive by and top.
Yeah, not that similar item combination, but able to bait out the Subjugate from Unica, which is honestly a pretty significant tool on this Trundle. Soul and Secret just getting a small trade onto that Trundle. So often we've talked about these two as a bot lane, as a pairing, and this split, they haven't really felt as threatening as they have done in splits, well, in years past even. But this game as well, especially, looking pretty good.
All right. Rascal Jester did pass go. They did collect 300 in the subjugate. Will they collect more into this tower?
Yeah, once again, Hazel throwing out a dredge line, committing the death charge as well, but straight into the spell shield of Soul. That's tools used that get you absolutely nothing. And meanwhile, Ino is just split pushing for free in the bot lane.
I'd have liked them to have committed there. They pulled the teleport from Washidai. It's completely out of synchronization. V3 have to fight something sometime. The Zeri will get stronger, but it will not match up into a Sivir who is able to blast a wave down in 2 seconds, blast a tower down nearly as fast. So Rascal Jesters, the 3 members of V3 might as well not have been here. They've added nothing to this tower defense.
I've just got like a day to. Are you familiar with the day today? Is that
I don't know what that is.
Satirical news program made by Chris Morris, who's in IT Crowd 4 Lines. Very funny. Just reminded me of a certain skit there. But yeah, definitely. If you're ever bored for like 10 minutes, just Google the day-to-day Peter Hammerhand compilation. It's really good. I promise you.
Day-to-day Peter.
Yeah, it's about.
All right,
okay?
that's happening later. That's happening after.
But for the time being, the next thing on our minds is going to be this upcoming Mountain Drake. We already spoke about how if Rascal Jester are able to sack a load of these, it could be very terrifying. But if V3 can sneak them away, it gives them a potential comeback option in this game. Doesn't look like Rascal Jester want to give them that potential comeback option, though, as they claim full control of the river.
It will choke out V3, and why are you teleporting here? This makes no sense. Rascal Jester have made no attempt on the dragon. Yu-Gi-Oh! Commits a summoner to pay half his own health bar where he could have just walked, and we're going to start the dragon middle cut.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't work. That felt like playing a Black Magic the Gathering card, which isn't particularly good. Like, it's just like, pay half of your HP and do nothing.
Yep. Pay half your health, commit effect that probably works in one niche thing in a format from 1992. I've played a lot of card games this weekend. It's the new Yu-Gi-Oh set, so I've been out and about.
What's anything crazy coming from it?
Yeah, 3 new decks, all finished in this new set. So it's one that we'll remember for many years. All the cards are really expensive, and the tournament results are a good time.
Very nice. Pieces of cardboard, very cool. As we're still waiting a minute and a half until the Baron spawns, and it feels like we're a lot later into this game simply because of how accelerated, honestly, the scaling carries from Rascal Jester are. You expect the Azir, you expect the Sivir, you expect the Camille to be really strong at the sort of 25-30 minute mark, and that's arrived a hell of a lot sooner than V3 would have liked.
I don't know if it's sooner in time or sooner in that V3 are so far behind they need an extra 5 minutes. Washidai is at least tanky and set up. We haven't seen him commit his damage yet because when he does, that's it for a little while. So he's sort of all in or nothing. He's not doing a lot right now because the rest of V3 aren't ready for that all in. He might try and find something here, but that is an Ari with a Leandries and cooldown boots. So they're not going to do a lot.
Yeah.
Nightmare hopefully isn't watching this game.
Oh. Not a lot of damage going to be coming out from Yu-Gi-Oh! In the mid lane as Recap now stood on the side. The lane assignments from Rascal Jester are fairly spread out across the map because honestly there is not much for them to do at this point in the game. So it's kind of just collecting these waves, making sure that you are going to scale up, trying not to get caught out in any silly situation which gives V3 an opportunity to come back into this game. So now going to be hitting onto that mid lane tower as I know is pushing up that bot lane wave, and V3 made for a look for an engage here. The flash forward from Hertel as Secret goes and charms up absolutely everybody. Washidai being thrown into the air as the Hextech ultimatum comes out as well. So forced to flash back as Hertel already very low on the Nautilus, but no one has fallen down just yet. I'll tell you what, V3 not losing anyone, that's a positive play.
It is huge. I'd like to congratulate Washidai on doing nearly all of their team's total damage this game so far as Hatchamacha comes in deep.
Yeah, he's diving forward, looking for a Unica. The Trundle flashes away just in time. And now, actually, the Trundle is going to be able to beat down on to this Skarner. Forced to flash back himself. And once again, Rascal Jester don't find anything off the play.
They are beating their head into a wall slightly. I would like them to peel back slightly faster, slightly further once they got out the Dragon's Rage, once they found the Ari had committed to the play and just done it again in a few seconds. Stuff like the Azir till you shuffle is just a few seconds of cooldowns, so you can just go nicely and evenly. We'll see exactly where that comes through here. This is really greedy from Solemn Secret, but it is a man moment for V3. Their Trundle Pillar doesn't even dissuade the tower. They will push Soul all the way to the back, but Secret manages that front line. No one finds their way into Soul, despite Washidai's best efforts. He is locked up in the middle. And V3 just sort of stuck around this tower, so there's nothing proactive, but at the same time, they are not willing to throw themselves under the bus, and Rascal Jester's composition is not made up for this straightforward play unless Recap shuffles massively and makes it so. Find the effort here, but he did not want to capitalize. Hachimacha kind of left on his own without that and forced to flash away. A cooldown we want to see used more aggressively, not defensively.
Yeah, obviously you do have access to the Hex Flash on this Skarner, so if you want to be going over any walls, then you still got that tool available to you. But yeah, for the snap engages, missing out on that is going to feel rough for you. Yeah. Rascal Jester, though, returning to normalcy, almost stacking 4 members in this bot lane, looking for a pushers. 2 members of V3 actually hunting for recap on the top lane, but this is incredibly slippery flash for flash trade.
The trade is pretty decent from V3, but you just committed 2 people to, again, achieve nothing but a straight trade. Washidai will ult to try and get some wave clear down, try and keep this tower, but the Rift Herald does so much to these inhibitors. The charge there will take it down, and at 22 minutes, Rascal Jesters are knocking on the front door.
Yeah, not opting to go forward for that inhibitor as Mountain Drake spawning in 30 seconds time. If V3 can get this one away with Rascal Jester resetting, then it would be sole point for them. But even at this point, I'm not sure how much that gives you in terms of your ability to actually win this game.
Not a lot, unfortunately. Not a lot at all. Yu-Gi-Oh has been tickling the front line of V3 throughout this game. Dress code has finally got that Phantom Dancer. We might see a little more meaningful damage, but with those Mountain Drakes coming through, with Rascal Jesters just not taking straight fights, I think we're not going to see a lot happen.
Yeah, and you see, like, Unica trying to sort of deny vision around this Baron and not really able to do it. In the meantime, Rascal Jester have just moved over to the Drake, and yeah, there's no one on V3 that can really move up. And honestly, at this point, if you just take the fight, you probably lose. So I can understand why they don't want to go forward for that objective, but it's still another advantage going in favor of Rascal Jester.
It's pretty huge. And this is going to be the slow grind now for Rascal Jesters. Their composition relies on playing multiple points of the map. I know Super isolated on his own recap can do the same, would probably choose not to, especially as teleport is down, and I know this is coming up soon. It's about finding picks. It's about doing this little dance of pushing the minion wave, getting some vision in, forcing V3 to assign in a way that lets them get picked off as they four-man this red buff.
It does feel like Rascal Jester are almost playing like a mill deck. Like
yeah.
just removing V3's options and their ability to play out. And I mean, like Washidai, like this Shyvana that's meant to be a bit more of a 1v3 threat just can't match the Camille at this point.
Yeah, it's great work from Rascal Jester, who actually adapted their draft instead of picking R5 Nautilus, to have that answer in the side lane into the Shyvana. Neither of them felt the need to take exhaust. They knew what was going to happen. And to force V3 out of their shell, Rascal Jester will start the Baron. I don't think a response will be found. Their answer is in the graveyard. Milled away, middle cup.
Yeah, and look at how deep the vision that has been secured by Rascal Jester is. Like V3, they have to walk through like 3 control wards to even get close to the Baron. And yeah, you can't do that in time, so the Baron is going to be falling down. And now with the pushing power that this Azir and the Sivir have, I can't imagine that this game is going to last much longer than 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
It's unlikely. This power play should be the beginning of the end. As the minion waves crash forwards, it'll take 30 seconds for the ones at those outer towers to reach V3 territory, where they will be buffed up, and the members of Rascal Jester will be right behind them to try and get some more infrastructure out. We look to at least one more inhibitor, and the towerless inhibitor to be a success meter for Rascal Jesters on this Baron power play.
And they seem perfectly enabled to do that. Once again, splitting up a little bit, trying to apply this Baron buff, trying to apply pressure to as many lanes as possible, recognizing that V3 don't really have the capacity, they don't really have the tools, they don't honestly have the gold to actually engage on any of these picks and find something without Rascal Jester responding with something better on the other part of the map.
All right, Washido's trying to find Sol on mid lane here. This could be the beginning of a fight. The waves are synchronized on the edges, so V3, they can't be in both side lanes at once. This will be the bottom inhibitor falling middle cart as they've chosen to respond in top side.
And again, it's
maybe overcommitting.
It's like what we were talking about Sengoku. It's give your opponent no good options. Give them only bad decisions. And V3, well, maybe it was a bad decision to try and defend that top lane tower because they can't do anything. And Ino is still absolutely free to push in the bottom side. Yujo fishing for charms, but honestly doing no damage onto Secret basically as Sol starts hitting onto the tower.
Less than 400 to the supports. I'd like to see this Ari take a different tack and try and attack Sol. Try and actually be a threat when that spell shield is down rather than taking this concession. And now they can do neither that threat nor be an ever-present damage source.
Yeah. Bot lane inhibitors already fallen down, and I know is going to reset. It looks like start to move over towards the top side of the map as usual. Is able to find a charm onto Sol. The TP comes through from the Camille. V3 have got a momentary numbers advantage, but it doesn't even matter. Shuffled into the wall, shuffled into the graveyard. Nowhere to go for V3 as they are being forced back. Dress code annihilated right next to his fountain. And Yujo with a pick up at the end, a consolation prize for V3. 2 dead on the side of Rascal Jester, but they're still going to push through and end this game.
This will be the end. V3 running out of steam, running out of hope, and Rascal Jesters made it look shiny at the end. They made V3 sweat just a little too much throughout this game.
Oh, Yujo picking up a kill onto Ino there. Right,
the
recap backing away. Okay,
it's too early.
Time of death. Need a little bit of Tipex on that one. Scratch that out, and
the patient is still breathing. We're not sure why, but he's still alive. We'll go through the replay here. As the top tower will get absolutely eviscerated, and RJ will start to have a little bit of fun.
Hitting on to that, and yeah, I think a little bit of fun, possibly the optimum word. Definitely a way that they could have ended this, but I mean, credit to V3 finding a fight.
In middle cut, Sol just got hit by everything. Everything just hit Sol. Everything. He's chilling. He's chilling like well,
he stopped chilling there.
He stopped chilling there. All right, that is one thing I missed in that team fight. But dress code, unfortunately, exposed, falls down as well. And I really think if there wasn't a little bit of tower gaming there, that would have likely been the end of this game. Oh well. Can't force it. If it can't happen, Rascal Jesters will breathe back out on the map. They'll go soul point on 3 Mountain Drakes against a team that has struggled to accrue their own damage. Any armor or magic resist will now go that extra mile as Rascal Jesters once again guide a huge minion wave in all 3 lanes.
Yeah, no Baron buff, but having those super minions in the side lanes is going to apply pretty much as much pressure as those purple minions would do regardless. So that means that Ino is free to just push down on the bot lane, and this mid lane inhibitor tower is going to be falling fairly certain. No Nexus towers either, so Rascal Jester, if they feel so inclined, they could just pop up the hunt and run at V3, but maybe feeling a little bit more timid about that as Yujo goes over the wall. The spell shield is good from Sol, and the RE takes a little bit more damage than they actually ended up dealing. Going to be forced back to the fountain.
All right, Ino's keeping the pressure on the side. V3 feel the need to fall back to the Nexus.
Yeah, Hazel finding a hookers in dive secret, and the Nautilus is already dead. The autopsy perhaps was premature for V3, but they are well and truly out of this. Although saying that, dress code with these burst fires, firing out the damage, forcing Ino to flash back away. The patient is not dead, Temporal.
I was super surprised they even tried. Dress code will be shuffled back in. That's
he's dead. Yeah.
That's it. Oh, we're sorry. So we have lost him. V3, they've tried their best. It's not going to happen today. Or maybe.